Welcome, my friends, to another YouTube version of the BJJ Brick Podcast. I hope you enjoy the show, and if you do, please subscribe to the channel. So here we go.
Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to the BJJ Brick Podcast. This is episode 180. My name is Byron. I'm here with my buddy Gary. Gary, another day. We get a little bit older. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm just ready to drop some beats on the mic here and have a great day.
That's good to hear. This week, we're talking about the Aging Grappler, and in reality, we all are. We're all getting a little bit older. The time ticks by one day at a time, 1 hour at a time sometimes. It feels like a year. But yeah, we're all getting a little older, and sometime, whether it is now or in 10 years from now, it's going to become a factor for you and in your jiu-jitsu. And so just kind of a heads up on that. And if you're already well into the curve, we have a resident expert. Gary, how's it going, man? As far as being a resident expert.
Yeah, thanks for making fun of my age. But no, it's going to be a great show today. And the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is, man, we can train forever. It's not a sport. You do hear people say, I can't train, when I get a certain age. But, man, I got a lot of role models that are training in their 60s and 70s. And, I'm training and Byron's training. And like Byron said, every day we're getting a little bit older. So it's a great sport. It's going to allow us to train a long time. And so I'm excited.
Hey, my friend, this is Byron here, recording a little snippet without Gary. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm playing a joke on Gary throughout the episode. I'm going to mention song titles with the word time in them. I actually end up getting 7 song titles in the podcast, and Gary doesn't even notice. So play along, see if you pick up on the song titles or see if they slide by you, and we'll kind of recap them at the end of the show. So I'll get you back into the regular recording. So here we go. Yep, time after time, I kind of tease Gary about his age. I'm 37 myself, so I'm no spring chicken.
Byron's always making fun, of my age, and I just turned 50 not too long ago. And hey, what were we talking about, Byron?
We're talking about memory loss with aging, and time has come today to discuss this topic, Gary. So, what do you think about memory loss with your grappling?
Yeah, I'm really excited, like you said, Byron, to watch these NCAA tournament basketball games. They're really entertaining.
Wow. Sometimes we diverge a little off topic. There's one easy way you can stay on track and on target with your BJJ Brick podcast. Go to bjjbrick.com or swing by our Facebook page. You could type in your email address and your name. We'll send you out the email every week with the full show notes and all the description of the show and all the sweet action we got going on over here. But that's the only way to really do it. Otherwise, yep. A lot of folks just have iTunes or their favorite podcast app on the Android system there, and it'll kick it into there as well. But if you want all the show notes delivered to you hot and fresh, get on the email list, and we'll provide them.
Yep, just like we like our donuts, hot and fresh. Speaking of hot and fresh, this show is about the older grappler. We also want to help out the younger grappler. Check out Byron's audiobook, Your First Year in BJJ. We have a link to it on the show notes. 2.5 hours of content of Byron dropping beats to you on the mic, telling you all about your first year of jiu-jitsu and how to get through the roadblocks there. Like I said, it's only $11.99, 2.5 hours of content. It's getting great reviews, so definitely check it out. Like I said, it's right there in the show notes.
Yep, and just the big goal with that is to get you through your first year, feeling like it was a good year and successfully staying on the mat, learning as much as you can, and having a good time with it. So hopefully that will help you out, my friends.
Yep. Speaking of friends, my good friend Mark Twain once told me, age is an issue of mind over matter. If it don't mind, it don't matter.
There you go. A relevant quote for this week's episode. If you don't mind how old you are, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can tell you, kind of like what he's talking about is, as I've got older, people say, I always hear all the time, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't play basketball anymore, you can't, keep grappling at this age, and you can. If it doesn't mind to me, I mean, we can do whatever we want to do. Our body can take it. We just, we're a little bit slower. We're, maybe gas a little bit quicker, and actually have gas a little bit quicker. But, we can do it. As long as our mind is there, it's definitely possible. And, do whatever you want to do. Don't let age be a factor.
There you go. It is just a number. And we'll get into deeper topics about age-related things. But, one thing with Mark Twain here, definitely had a sense of humor about it. And so much of it is how you feel about yourself and how you feel about others feeling about you, if they even feel about you really at all. So not needing to be necessarily the toughest person in the room might be a big realization as you once were the toughest guy or gal in the room, and then as you get a little bit more up there in the age and your seniorness, you may pass that torch, and you're still in the room, you're still having a good time, you're still training and getting better technically, but to fight the young athlete that comes in, the MMA guy that comes in and wants to really test himself, that may not be the most important thing for you anymore as far as your training. Whereas 10 or 20 years ago, that might have been the most exciting part of your day. So it's just kind of that perception of how you feel about aging and how if you care at all about others, how feel about how you age. And I think a big part of that, and something that we've done pretty well here, is have a sense of humor about it. And yeah, we're all going to get older. The young guy teasing you now, he'll be older too. So just smile and enjoy each other's company, and yeah, we'll grow old and train together.
Yeah, except Byron, when you're saying the young guy teasing the old guy now, you said he'll grow old, but the problem is by the time he grows old, I'll be passed away, so I won't be able to tease him.
Gary, trying to bring us down, man. We do train with some young people, and that's it's kind of, and we'll get to this as well. We have like a little bullet points of here. It's fun to be a part of a diverse group. We'll have Bob in his mid-60s, and we'll have people come in who are middle school or high school students, and we're all laughing and having a good time. And some of the jokes go over other people's heads. There might be a joke, about some movie that just came out that none of us older guys get, and then maybe a joke about, Bob
about
as a cowboy, as a rotary phone, and it's just good times, man. You got to enjoy everything that comes your way.
Definitely, that is true.
Well, Gary, it is business time, and
business time.
Yes, that's right. I'm in my business socks, and it's time to get down to business. The main topic of the episode: getting older and doing BJJ. Something that we have some experience with. I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the show, but age, I feel, and I think you'll probably agree with me, it's relative. You could have a 40-year-old who's never had any significant injuries and is in relatively good shape, and they feel fine on the mat. They recover pretty well. And you could have somebody who's 30, 10 years younger than that person by my math, and they've already suffered a handful of pretty bad injuries. They've not taken care of themselves when they were even younger. So they've been a little bit hard on their body. And so age, that number, it is relative, and it's almost like a plastic thing you could change, and you can't change the numbers that are next to your name, but you can change how your body feels and how your body reacts to certain things. And but working out, exercising, eating healthy, getting sleep, all these things, being hydrated, you kind of could add some years back and roll that odometer back a little bit, Gary.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those points you make, hydration, eating, learning to rest. I know we had Glenn, one of our training partners, on not too long ago, and his big thing I remember was just finding a schedule that worked for him. How many days a week, to train. If he taking days off between and only training this amount of days a week, even if he had a day open. Letting his body heal, through a combination of rest, nutrition, hydration, just some good advice right there.
Yeah, and referencing our friend Glenn Jarrell, you could I'll put a link to that one in the show notes. I guess it's funny to say, referencing one of our more senior members on the mats, but to say that and not, I don't really tease Glenn a whole lot, but people do, and he's in our city. He's one of the older guys that's on the mat, and I look up to him a lot, and that's who I want to be when I'm that age, as far as still training, still having fun, and he's doing that. And right now, I don't know if I'll be able to do that when I'm there. I don't know what position in life I'll have. I don't know anything about that future person. I want it to be like that, but it's definitely somebody to look up to. And when you get frustrated with your recovery process slowing down, or you feel like you're not as flexible or strong or fast as you used to be, having those teammates who are just in there continuing to perform well and enjoy their times on the mats, that to me is motivating to just look past it. It's not a really big deal. I'm here to have fun and train with my friends.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, jiu-jitsu, your team, you guys are a diverse group normally. Normally there's going to be some young competition-oriented guys, some middle-aged competition-oriented guys, the regular hobbyists. And then it's always great, I think, to have some of the older guys in there too. I don't know if every school is lucky enough to have, some older people in there, but like Byron said, I don't know if I, where I'll be, I hope I'm lucky enough to be able to train at that point. But, one thing I've noticed, like some of the, as I say, younger guys in their 40s and late 30s, they've now come up to me and are starting to use my brain, pick my brain on, what do I need to do so I can keep rolling, into my 40s, into my 50s. What are good, ways, techniques or strategies that I have to do. And just for your school to have that resource, like you said with Glenn there. We talked about another partner that Byron and I roll with. His name's Bob. He's 66. Craig is another guy I roll with. He's 56. And, just having all those guys and those are guys I look up to along with Gleno there. And it's just nice where I pick their brains. And it's funny, it's just like a pecking order. I pick their brains. They're all a little bit older than me. People a little bit younger than me pick my brains. But it's just a great wealth of knowledge, because you're going to run into things that you really don't know about or that I guess your ego and stuff, like you were saying earlier, Byron, about you may not be the top dog anymore. And, that's a tough one to get by right there. Not being that guy anymore. You may have fought out submissions a little bit longer and now you're going to have to, tap a little bit quicker, just to preserve your joints and, to keep rolling a little bit longer. But, definitely a great resource having, older individuals to train with.
And that's one of those, weird stages in your life where you have to be honest with yourself. Not that should be a weird stage in your life, to be honest with yourself, but you need to realize what kind of a grappler you are today, and then do that every now and then, and make an honest assessment with yourself. If you're not the same grappler you were last year, you feel like you've lost a step. I guarantee if you're still coming in and training, you're still continuing to learn things about jiu-jitsu. You're still continuing to get good exercise and enjoy your time on the mat with if you've been going for years, with a group of close friends. And there are so many other benefits other than just kicking butt on the mat to jiu-jitsu, that I think we need to realize as we continue to get older and train jiu-jitsu. But Gary, talking a little bit about your ego and looking at yourself, you need to have that realistic view of yourself, of what you're able to do, and wherever those limits are, update those every now and then. I think it's been almost 2 years now since I quit doing triangle chokes. And Gary, I was a fan of a triangle choke for quite a while. That was my BJJ brick. That was my favorite technique. And I kept occasionally getting stacked, maybe 1 out of every 25 times, or I don't know what the numbers were, and occasionally 1 out of every 10 times getting stacked, I hurt my lower back. And that was a no-win situation. So, at the risk of every 1 out of every 100 or 150 triangles, I would tweak my lower back, and every 3 times I tweak it, I end up hurt for a week. I took that technique out of my game, completely changed what I'm doing, and I'm doing fine right now. But I had to kind of look at myself and say, I'm making this change on purpose. It's not just I'm going to move away from that. I'm going to stop doing that altogether and work towards other things just so I could protect myself while I'm rolling.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. You do have to change your game around. You do have to find, techniques or styles that work for your body. As we get older, we are going to take a little bit more of a beating. And, do I really want to get stacked? I don't want to get stacked anymore. Not that I ever wanted to get stacked, but, it's also like that the inverted game doesn't work well for me. I train with a younger guy all the time. His name's Miles, and he loves the inverted game. He loves the flying stuff. And, we'll drill back and forth. He'll drill Inamari rolls on me, and I'll drill a basic armbar on him. It's just a clash of styles, but you've got to figure out, you may have to drop some moves. It just doesn't work that well for your body. Your neck may be getting hurt. Or in Byron's situation, he was doing triangles and ended up hurting his back every couple weeks or a couple months. And really, that's not a good recipe to keep going. So, I found for myself, like staying close. If we're starting on the feet, I want to be touching my partner. I want to be close enough where I can start working hooks. On the ground, I always want to be touching. I always want to have a hook. I always want to, be close proximity. I don't want any space. And I can slow the game down that way. I am slower. I need it a little bit slower paced. And I do that, through grips, through underhooks, through overhooks, through head snaps, anything to keep us close together. And so you will have to change your game a little bit. There'll be a lot of experimenting to figure out what works best. But also, like I said, pick people's brains that have trained, that are older than you, that have trained at your school or people you're familiar with. And that's, changing topics a little bit, but that's the coolest thing about jiu-jitsu is, man, everybody I've ever asked will always help. I've never met one person who won't give you time. It doesn't matter if they're on another team, from another city. It's just incredible, the people you meet and the people who are willing to offer advice. And so that's just another benefit of jiu-jitsu. But yeah, as Byron said, just to sum it all up here real quick, is you probably will have to change your game a little bit there.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to change. You might make a change every year or two, or you might have to make some changes pretty drastically as you are coming back off an injury or really looking to avoid something that might get you hurt.
But or talking about that, Byron, but don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as a good thing.
Yeah.
It just makes your game better. We're going to know more. We definitely know more because we have to change our game, but we still know that other part. And even though I'm 50 now, I'm a better grappler than I was at 45. I'm a better grappler than I was at 48. I still am improving. I am still getting better. I may be a little slower, but I'm smarter. I've been exposed to more. My technique is better. I'm more efficient and effective. And if you just keep training, it's going to happen. The key is, like we say every episode, don't quit. Do not quit. As long as you keep going, you're going to get better. And the more we're exposed to, the more knowledge we're going to have.
Gary, looking back, I remember what it feels like for the very first time, getting on the mat, grappling with somebody, and just, getting, tossed on my head, bouncing right back up, and I feel good. That didn't bother me at all. I was 22 years old, and it didn't. And even if I did get my neck tweak or something, was bothering me, I'd wake up, and usually that was the cure for anything that was bothering me. It was a good night's sleep, some water and some protein, and I'd be back ready to go, maybe a couple of days at the most. But now I have to be careful for having that. If I'm going to have that attitude, I need to protect myself and not even test it, because I might tweak my neck and I might wake up just fine. It's more likely that if I get injured, it'll be a little bit worse. It'll take a little bit longer to heal. And I think that's one of the biggest complaints of the aging grappler is that I'm slower to heal than I have been. And that's a difficult thing to deal with, but it's just a reality of our bodies. And trust me, you're not healing if you're not even hurt and deciding to stay home on the couch and just watch TV because it's safe. Watching TV because it's safe is
slowly rotting your body away.
Yeah, the biggest killer in the United States is heart disease, and you're signing up for that right there. So to avoid the biggest killer, start going to jiu-jitsu and become a killer, Gary.
Train jiu-jitsu, become a killer. Byron's new motto for his school. That'll definitely work great, Byron.
Yeah, I'll be shut down within a week, and they'll be looking for bodies behind the gym.
Definitely,
Gary. If
yes.
you could put time in a bottle and really just preserve the Gary at a certain age, you mentioned that the Gary at 50 is a better grappler than he was at 45 or at 40. What for you so far has been like maybe the funnest age or the most productive age of grappling?
I to be honest have to say today, I fall in love with jiu-jitsu more and more every time I train. I think I did have a little bit of issues maybe in my mid-40s as I was slowing down a little bit. That's when I had to get my head straight, where people who used to not give me a challenge were giving me a challenge, and I had to figure out my path at that point. I've never actually even thought about. Well, one time I did think about quitting jiu-jitsu, but that was due to an injury. But the cool thing is, my training partners basically knew I was upset, and the great thing was, by the time I got home, one of my training partners was already over at my house waiting for me to talk to me. And Byron, I really think I'm better now than I ever was. I think I'm happier now on the mats than I ever was, and yeah, I do get a little injured more. I didn't get injured when I first started at 35. I was rarely ever injured, and I probably went my first 4 or 5 years without ever getting an injury. But I'm more happy on the mat. And I know I say this every episode, but I try to smile on the mat. I'm having so much fun. I really am. I don't care if I'm getting tapped out, if I'm getting squashed underneath. I really think I'm always like smiling on the inside, even if my face is getting smashed where I can't smile. I just have fun, and I do like this sport more and more, every time I try it. So, Byron, I really think I'm at my best right now, and I'm at my happiest.
Gary, it seems like you are having the time of your life out there sometimes, and that's something to really be to look up to. And something I've learned, I think, from you about enjoying your experiences on the mat, because we do get these young studs come in here, and it seems like after a year, it's like, oh my goodness, this guy is an animal. He's giving me a difficult role. I'm trying to be cool and relaxed, and I'm having to work a little harder than I think I should, or that sort of situation. But Gary, you seem to find genuine pleasure and happiness from watching those around you take those big leaps and advance in their game. So that's, I think, a big key with staying happy with the performance of the team, not just yourself.
That's kind of how I am now. I really get more pleasure in watching people that I train with do better. And I think that's another benefit of the aging grappler. I think that a lot of the younger guys will look up to you. Not even if you haven't been training a long time. Just in life, as we get older, we do have a little bit more wisdom. And like you said, we're a diverse group. Your team is a diverse group. And the aging grappler may not just help you with your jiu-jitsu. How many times have you heard people talking about, hey, I just had a kid and I don't know what to do. I'm having trouble sleeping, or, trying to adjust my sleep patterns. Man, we've been through that. We've been through everything. Hey, I'm looking to buy my first house. I don't even know what these terminologies mean. What do we do? We've been through that. Hey, just I'm looking to finance a car. I'm looking to do any of this stuff. We've been through that. We can offer advice. And that's what's so great about, the jiu-jitsu team with that diverse group. Your team has so much knowledge and experience, not just in jiu-jitsu, but in, health issues, how to eat properly, how to work out, how to fix a car, how to put siding on, how to roof a house. And everybody's always there to help. And, that's, just a cool thing there.
Yeah. Taking it to the extreme. And I know we have many listeners all over the world, and right now it's sad to say, but there's a gym and one of their training partners or teammates has passed away, and to have the older grappler, who has been in the situation where they've lost some friends or they've dealt with this sort of loss more than a couple of times, and unfortunately, different age doesn't protect you from this sort of loss as far as with friends or family, but just having that life experience. Okay, guys, let's all get together and we're gonna talk about our friend that we lost and come over to my house, or maybe we'll meet at this thing. There's somebody who kind of has that leadership quality, even if they are a one-stripe white belt. Hey, this is what we should do now. This will help with the healing process. I don't know. That's maybe a bit of an extreme example, but just it's great to have a diverse group for many reasons, and that's maybe a more sad and depressing one. But that could happen to anybody. Anybody could lose one of their members at any point in time. And to have somebody, it doesn't need to be necessarily an older grappler, but just somebody who has the correct heart for that, the correct healing attitude, and maybe it goes just as much, somebody who has some training in that category as far as counseling, like that. Those people are valuable on your team. If you've got them, you may never need them for that reason, but you'll definitely be happy when they are there to help in troubled times.
Yep. And one other thing I noticed, being a little bit older, but I get invited to a lot of the UFC parties at, so-called bars and establishments there. And what I've noticed, I get invited to be the designated driver. So, they think I'm a little bit more responsible. So, the cool thing is when you're a little bit older, you get to hang out with the young guys, and you actually get to relive, those days, even though nobody wants to hang out with you. They are only doing it because you're the designated driver. But, hey, I'll take it.
Gary, we should do a new thing, have a designated grappler, to where if somebody starts some trouble with your crew, this guy's totally sober and ready to throw down right now and put somebody in a super chokehold. But just get Gary, designated driver, and designated grappler. That is
but at our age, we will talk when we were younger, I probably had a little quicker fuse, but at my age now, it's I'll talk my way out of it, and so nobody will go to jail.
Okay, Gary, the designated talker as well as driver. Gary, that sounds lame.
Well, to be honest,
I appreciate
walk in my
safety.
footsteps. Yeah, walk in my footsteps for a given day, and you'll be like, "Man, this is lame."
Oh man! All right, that's funny. But we're talking about the diversity of a team. Gary, can you think of a time or maybe some examples that? And I'm going to throw this again to you, the resident aging expert on the podcast here today. That age has been a benefit to you, either on the mat or off the mat. Kind of relative, I guess, to jiu-jitsu. But has it helped you at all, or caused you to train differently?
I think one of the biggest benefits of age, as I've got older, I've learned to be more patient. I've learned to, think about stuff, do research. Where before I would just jump into everything. I just jump into jiu-jitsu, swim with the sharks, just go balls to the wall, just 150% on everything. And now I've got older, I've got smarter. I spend more time studying. I spend more time doing research. And it's all to make my jiu-jitsu more enjoyable. It's all to, make me so I can keep training for a long time. So as I've got older, I think just by slowing down, losing my ego. And, I know we always try to say not to have an ego, but as you get older, I don't know, I just seem like I joke around more. I have more fun. I'm just happy to be doing it. And, I just think that, without this the research I was doing, just going too fast, and my ego. I just think getting a little bit older, getting a little bit smarter, getting a little bit wiser changed all that. So I think, just that has, helped me as I've got older.
There you go. That's a good one. You kind of mentioned the humor thing. That gets easier, I think, as you get older because you're able to make fun of yourself a lot easier. You have that confidence to where you kind of know where you stand or pull guard, and you could teach yourself a little bit better in public or in front of a group of friends where, if I'm in junior high or high school, I'm not going to make a joke against myself. I can't be going there. But as I have gotten older, most of my jokes are about me making mistakes and me looking like an idiot. Or I also throw a few at Gary as well. But I think
more than a few.
That having that smaller ego just allows you to open up and have a lot of fun while you're on the mat. But just chokes and jokes. That's a lot of jiu-jitsu right there, Gary.
Yeah, it really is. And we always talk about the benefits of jiu-jitsu, exercise your heart, get stronger, move your muscles through a full range of motion. For me, not that those aren't benefits. It's the social aspect for me. I really care about my teammates. I do not want to miss a training session. And it's not, I love jiu-jitsu, but it's to hang out with the guys and girls and the teammates. It's, we're one big group. We have a great time. It's, as you say, it's chokes and jokes. I really enjoy that. And I just think by, having such a good time, by making jokes and, messing with your teammates, that it reduces stress in my life. It lowers my blood pressure. It's a calming influence. And it's crazy to say it's a calming influence, especially when we're on the mat trying to choke each other unconscious, trying to turn our limbs ways they're not supposed to go. You don't think of it as a calming influence, but for me, that's my calm time. I'm in a zone. I just love jiu-jitsu. I feel so great. I get done. It's like a high, there's no drug. I don't think any drug I could take could make me feel like I do when I get done with jiu-jitsu. So, you can go ahead.
Well,
mess with me on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to say that both of us are pretty inexperienced in the amazements of some of the illegal drugs that would probably wreck our lives. They're so amazing. But jiu-jitsu is a positive thing and not illegal.
Yeah. But, I have been known to take Viagra, and it's nothing like jiu-jitsu.
A benefit that I've noticed with jiu-jitsu that I definitely didn't have when I first started was a more I don't want to say stable life, but I'm going to go with that. When I first started, I was most of the time single. I didn't have a full-time job, so I was trying to figure out school and work and that sort of. I had a lot up in the air. And now, not necessarily because of age-wise, but it seems like a little bit more advanced in life. Things kind of settle in. They kind of get into more of that routine. I'm not going trying to find a girlfriend. I'm married. I'm not struggling to find employment. I've had a job for a while. Some things kind of just settle in to where training could take a higher place. If you're desperately looking for a job, jiu-jitsu is taking the back seat on that. You need to be able to pay your bills and get that alleviated.
Let's go back to your situation though. You, as you're saying, you weren't totally stable. You were looking for jobs and this and that. But you got your current employment based off of an older guy that we trained with.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing is, I remember the police officers, a couple of the older police officers who were probably in their 50s, were trying to get you to join the police force too. So, we just go back to that diverse set of group and, you talk about the older guys, they definitely can help you find jobs. Not that younger guys can too. But, it's like, who am I going to refer to a job? A guy that I see on the mat every day that doesn't quit? What kind of – with an attitude where you do not quit, what kind of job would that not work for? If you can get on the mat and not quit and just – it doesn't matter how good you are. If you just show up and you can laugh and train and not quit, man, you're going to be successful at anything in life you do. That's the guy I'm going to refer for a job.
Yeah, and what Gary's alluding to is Captain Baker here in town. He has since retired, but he's a firefighter, and trained with him for a couple of years. And I was like, hey, how would I go about finding a job in the fire department? He handed me a phone number of a chief to call, and call this guy. He's the head of our training. Meet with him. He'll get you set the right way. And without that, I don't think I would have done it. I don't think I would have ever had to done that path. And without knowing him and a handful of guys that were training with him, I don't think I would have even considered it as something that I could do. I mean, that's part of the diverse team. You've got people there, you get to know them, and they could become resources to you, and you could become a resource to them as well.
Yeah, and that's just the great. That's another benefit of jiu-jitsu that I don't think a lot of people talk about all the time.
So, and as far as the older person that's had a couple of jobs, or maybe helping out a younger person trying to figure out what to do with their life, that guidance off the mat, benefit that a peer could not necessarily help as much. They might say, yeah, I'm going to apply here. Well, this person has had the life experience, and talking to them might be a benefit as well. But I guess that's more off the mat life.
Yeah, I just had a young training partner basically want to go out to lunch, and that's what it was for, just to talk about what to do in the future, and path of where they want to go, and to be honest, I was 100% honored. I was honored that somebody would want to talk to me and sit down for an hour and just discuss that, and it is. I was very, very happy to do that.
Gary, I've been telling you for 180 episodes, I'm the only one that will sit and talk to you for an hour. And that's been a lie. The line is long, my friend. Everyone wants to talk with Gary, but I've been kind of hogging your time, my friend.
I think the only reason that guy did it is because he knew I'd buy lunch. That's another benefit. Normally the old guy will buy the lunch. So don't forget to ask out for lunch your old training partners. Since they don't have anything to do anyhow, they'll go. They'll go. But if you're going to dinner, it better be early, because most of us older guys eat about 3 o'clock.
Dinner seems to get bumped up time-wise, and so do the pants seem to get bumped up to the nipple height as well.
Yeah, but if we move dinner up, it just gives us more time to train at night.
There you go.
You got to think of the positive behind it.
Older and wiser, and that's what we're getting out of you today, Gary. Very wise.
Yep. That is true.
Well, with some wise advice, I'm going to throw a question that's not on the list at you here, but I know with your wisdom, you'll be able to handle it. It seems like this show's been pretty random anyway, but we actually have a list we're kind of working from. But what advice, Gary, would you have if somebody is, let's just say, 45, 55, in that range, and they're always asking questions about jiu-jitsu. They're clearly interested in it, but when you ask them, hey, do you want to come train? They just say, I'm too old. I can't do it. And then finally they turn around and say, well, I'm going to go, but what advice do you have for me on my first day, or what advice do you have for me when I actually start training?
That's a good question right there, Byron. The older person, I think they almost need to come to make sure they're at a gym that understands. I think it's a lot of times, and most gyms do. I'm not throwing out there like these are terrible gyms, but I think one of the big things to do, especially if that person is asking you, he's a little bit older, and let's just say you're 25 years old. Let's say you guys both work in the same place, but make sure you're there that day for that person if you're going to show up. It's going to make it so much easier. I know we talk about this for anybody, but even for that older individual, and introduce them around. Make a joke about, hey, this is my buddy. He's 55 years old. And, because some people don't look their age, like me, most women think I look like 25 and they think I'm a model. So, the big thing is, like, I don't know. I think if somebody, lets their age out there, I think people will go a little bit easier with you too. I mean, you also, if you bring that guy there, make sure who you pair them up with too. If your instructor's not pairing them up, or maybe you are the instructor, watch out who you're pairing them up with. Don't pair them up with a new guy who wants to be an MMA fighter or goes 120%. Pair them up with your very technical, higher level belts. Those are the guys, probably don't have the ego, will probably roll nice and slow. And I don't know. I just seem like the more high level people I roll with, the less injured I get. But I just think the big thing is everybody wants to do it. It's trying to try it the first time, trying to cross that line and step into the gym. And I think if you're there, meet them there or even come pick them up. I just think it makes it that much easier. Or just say, hey, I'll meet you in the parking lot. Text me, text me or call me on your rotary phone when you get there.
Gary's always inviting people to meet him in the parking lot. And that's just a place where he settles disagreements typically.
Well, at least you said that way. I thought you were going to say something else.
But a point Gary brings up is to be there when your friend is there, and that is definitely good advice. A side note on that, if your friend does roll their first day, don't just beat the crap out of them. It's okay if you want to tap them out and make them work a little bit. But make sure that they're not getting that point where they're super frustrated and they're not having a good time. The point of their first day is to get them introduced to some people at the gym, to make sure that they have a good time, and to feel like they've learned a little bit about jiu-jitsu. If you could do those things, they'll probably come back. If they come in and they don't meet no one and you totally teach them how awesome you are at jiu-jitsu and you just throttle them the entire time you roll, that's probably the experience that they're going to get, and that's the only experience they're going to get on the mat with you. So really, that first time could be a pretty pivotal time. Pivotable time where you can push them away pretty easy, but they're at least interested in it. And you mentioned the aspect of who to pair them up with. That is a big piece of advice because you may not want to really take it to them the first round, but somebody else might. So try to protect them a little bit. Pair them up with people who are good enough to perform jiu-jitsu on somebody, but also confident enough to where they don't need to prove themselves to this newcomer that just walked in the door. That is a pretty important mix to have. Typically, the room should be full of those people that are used to bringing in outside people who are just trying to see what it's like, and there's no need to beat that person up anymore, especially if they're a little bit of an older grappler, and that's one of their apprehensions about getting on the mat. So, a lot going on, inviting somebody, because in reality, you could bring your friend in, and they could get hurt. This is a contact sport. Your friend is in 45 to 55 or whatever age they are. They're interested in it. They're a little nervous. There's a reason they're a little nervous, because they don't know what's going to happen. So if they're really that nervous, they can come and watch. And hopefully you'll have a couple of people in their similar age category who they could talk to and relate to. And that would be a big thing. It's just like starting a women's program. If you have one or two women in your class, it's much easier to get 4 or 5 than it is to get the first 1 or 2, because that woman has to start kind of like, why am I the only woman doing this? This is clearly not something that women are doing. Once there's a few in there, women come in, I get that they're doing it, I could do it. It's a lot easier to be the 5th woman in the class than it is to be the first. So if you have a couple of older grapplers and more senior grapplers, I don't know what the political correct way to say this, Gary.
Yeah, I think the PC thing is senior grappler.
But it's
or
easier to bring
grappler.
them in.
How about we go with wise grappler?
The silver grapplers.
Yeah.
But a lot on the table on that one. But encourage them to come in and check it out. It really, I would say, take a degree of ownership of their safety, especially for the first week or maybe in a month. Like, really make sure that they are training with safe people. They get the idea of how important it is to tap right away, that it's okay to tap when you're even feeling like you're too stuck or you get kind of scared. You feel like this move might be coming on. It's okay to tap early. It's okay because some of the new people get injured because they don't know they're in a submission, and they like, I can see an armbar coming, and I could tap when I'm stuck. But if I don't even know I'm stuck in an armbar and suddenly my elbow is getting hyperextended, that's a lot more dangerous for somebody to deal with. So, yeah. Especially
as we get older, our brains are a little slower to react. So Definitely make sure they know it's okay to tap quick, tap early. Another big one too, I think, is if you guys do not have a water fountain at your gym, bring an extra bottle of water. Tell your older, senior, wise grappler that, hey, we don't have a water fountain. You might want to bring a bottle of water. And because he's probably going to forget, bring another bottle just for that person if you don't have any. Just anything to make that person feel comfortable, and you get a better chance of having them come second or third time.
A big part, I think, of being the aging grappler is to listen to your body, to kind of learn about where your body is right now as far as stage of healthiness and that sort of thing. Myself, I keep a pain journal where, Gary, I recently injured my ribs a little bit, and I don't think it's as bad as I did 10 years ago, but they're sore, and I wake up occasionally, and man, my ribs are really bothering me still, and that's kind of annoying. But first thing I did when I got home, I could tell I hurt my ribs. I'm writing that down. I'm writing down the date, and what I think I did. I don't even know for sure how I did it. I'm pretty sure it was jiu-jitsu. I don't know the technique or the position I was stuck in or what was happening when it actually happened. I didn't feel it until I got home. But I write like a little thing about what happened and the pain level, and I'm going to update it in a couple of days, and that way I kind of keep track of my pain. But it's just smart to kind of keep this sort of a journal with, yes, jiu-jitsu related stuff. If you're getting headaches, a certain time, it's good to see that pattern with your body, with your health. If I also write my weight down in it about once a month. I'll write my weight down. So if I suddenly gain 10 pounds over 3 months, I'll notice that. It's something I can kind of keep an eye on. So I keep a pain, and maybe you call it a pain/health journal, where it's a pretty simple thing to do. It's just, I have a little book, update it, and if I ever needed to go in for anything, and they have, well, when was the last time you had some pain in your rib, or which knee is it that you injured a while? I don't know which knee I've had soreness in, but I can go look and I can see, oh yeah, there. I don't know. I think it's a smart thing to do. I don't know anybody else who really does it, but I like to document it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I know I've heard you talk about it before, but I never heard you talk about putting the weight on there each and every month. And that's a smart idea for the older grappler, because you can see if your weight's going up, it probably means you have a tumor. So you definitely want to get that checked out.
Gary is dispensing medical advice. Way to go, man.
Or you just been eating a little bit.
Yeah, so occasionally I'll take my blood pressure and I'll put that in. It's just a general thing about how I'm doing. It's nothing really complicated. And some months or weeks I write more. Sometimes I don't really write anything. But definitely when I get home, I feel like I have to injure myself or something happened. I want to write that down and I want to know about it. I know for sure that it's the same area of my rib that bothered me a while ago. But if I was any question to it, like, well, I can go back and look. Oh, look, 3 years ago, it was my left hand was hurting because I got smashed. And again, my left hand is really hurting again. I don't know if it's similar, but it's kind of good to keep track.
Yeah, and I can just say that because I've been going through some hamstring issues, and I have a lot of hamstring pulls. That seems like my main injury. But I was actually trying to think on this one, is this the same leg or is it a different leg? Well, I only have two legs. So, but, it'd be kind of nice to know, like if I did a pain journal, hey, I tore my hamstring about midway up my left leg, and it hurts there, or, midway up my left leg, but towards the outside, the left-hand side. And that way I know if I'm, pulling the same muscle or tearing the same muscle over and over again. So that's good advice, Byron. I like that.
Yep. Just write it down, Gary. Hopefully you won't injure your hamstring again, but if you do, you can look and say, oh, yeah, same one.
Oh,
or my other leg.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll write it down in cursive there for you, Byron.
There we go. Good to have documented, Gary. Cursive or script.
Well, us old guys, we always write in cursive.
It's faster. Another thing that comes up with the older grappler is the idea of competing or not. And that's really just a personal question. Do you want to compete? Yeah. If you do, most grappling events have a division based on age. Not all. So if it's a smaller thing, hopefully they have divisions based on skill and weight classes. If it's really small, a lot of times it's just weight classes. But anymore, there's so many big tournaments around. They have skill, weight classes, age, and that way it's it's more competitive. That's what you want. You want a good match. You want to test yourself against another skilled opponent with similar skill and training and see how you do. You could take a blue belt that's 18 and take a blue belt that's 60, and it's not going to be the 60-year-old could definitely win. That's not out of the scope of practice, but to put the 60-year-old through a bracket of 30 18-year-olds that signed up for this bracket, so he's going to have many matches. That's a little bit more challenging for a 60-year-old to pull that off. The divisions with the older grapplers, the silver grapplers are smaller, and that's a little bit easier on our bodies to have less matches throughout the day.
Yeah, I hear people saying, as I get older, I can't compete anymore, and I mean, like you said earlier, Byron, it's all an individual choice. But I really think you can compete anytime you want. I don't care if you're, 75 years old, as long as you're in good health. And I really think that as we get older, I think we make up for being a little bit slower. Like my scrambles are definitely slower, but I'm wiser. I personally think my cardio, I do work on the outside. I don't train every day, but I'm always doing some type of cardio and weightlifting. I do think I'm in better shape now than when I was 50 than I was at 35. And I really do believe that. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I am slower. I'm not going to, run 100 in the same amount of speed. My scrambling ability's off, but, I really think that, I can compete with about anybody. But like you said, Byron, with a smaller bracket, you don't have to, go through as much pain and this and that. But, I just want everybody to know that, as we talked about that Mark Twain quote earlier, we can do it. Don't let anybody tell you can't compete, but don't let anybody tell you have to compete either. It's all about your own personal choice. And like myself, to be honest, all I care about is having fun rolling. I treat jiu-jitsu like going to play a pickup basketball game, which, I really enjoy playing basketball. I really enjoy doing jiu-jitsu, and I just want to train, have fun, and at this point, I don't care about competing, to each their own. I just want to train. I want to have fun. I want to learn some new stuff. I want to smile, and I want to make new friends. And but if I did want to compete right now, I can compete. There's nothing holding me back. And don't let, my wife looks at me sometimes like, hey, I think you're too old for this. It's like, no, I'm not. We all know our own body. Don't let anybody put, negative thoughts into your mind that you can't compete, because we can do anything we want. We know our body. We can, if we do have an injury, we can get it fixed. We can make it so we can get back on the mat. We're going to make sure that we're performing at our best.
And Gary, every time you go away from an injury, you seem to come back a little bit more healed up in general. So taking a little bit of time off, for you it's a few days or so, but for myself, I'm taking a little bit of time off from my rib injury that I'm dealing with. I know other things. That my left elbow has been bothering me a little bit. That feels strong, and I'm not going to notice it at all. But you come back a little bit stronger, or a little, maybe not stronger, a little less banged up is the correct thing to say, I guess, because you're letting your body heal at that rate, which kind of brings us to having a good training schedule. And this is something that Glenn talked about a lot. If you are one of the more silver grapplers on the mat, you've got to figure out what works for you as far as schedule. I'm not talking about, time of day to train necessarily, but how many days a week are you going to train? How many days do you need in between your training? And then even not every day that you train is going to be the same. Let's just say Monday, that's your super train day. You're going to go in, you're going to roll with the best competition you can get, or at least get a couple rolls like that. Tuesday, you're off. Wednesday, you're back on the mat. You're going to mostly focus on technique. You'll roll a couple times with the lower belts, and that'll be your time. And the next day, you're taking off. The next day, you go back, and staggering your training is a good way to maintain the balance between learning jiu-jitsu, staying healthy, getting those fun rolls that are exciting and a lot of hard work, still getting those, because those are good times, Gary.
Yeah, and I ran into that myself. Jiu-jitsu is my favorite thing in the world to do. I love jiu-jitsu, and I was at points, just a couple years ago where I was training 6-7 days a week, and it's what I love to do. But as you were saying earlier, nothing ever healed. I was always having bad elbows, bad wrists, bad neck, bad back, and I finally found a schedule that works for me, and that's 3 days a week. Every now and then I train 4, and every now and then it only gets 2, but 3 days a week for me works best. I do 2 days back to back, but I can handle it. But then every other day that I'm not training, I am doing some other sort of exercise, whether it be play basketball for an hour and a half, go to the Y and lift weights and do some cardio for an hour and a half. But I try to train every day. I try not to take any days off. And, I just think that doing other stuff has helped my body heal, having that off day of jiu-jitsu, but still working my heart, still working my muscles, still moving through a full range of motion, stretching. And I think that has done wonders. And stretching, I changed my stretching sequence. I used to just do all, static stretching. Now I've worked on, dynamic stretching and some mobility exercises. I've had a trainer help me with that, and that has done wonders for me. I've noticed, I am more flexible. One thing I keep talking about that I don't really do, but I'd like to try yoga too, on an off day. But that's, I think, one of the things you're going to have to experiment, through trial and error to find out what works best for you. And just because I'm saying 3 days a week is best for me and 4 days doing other sort of exercise doesn't mean 7 days of jiu-jitsu isn't best for you. Everybody is different. You just have to experiment and be honest with yourself. I know that we probably love jiu-jitsu and probably want to train 7 days a week, but if it's affecting other parts of your life where, you are, beat up, then maybe it's not working for you. And I experimented when I was doing 7 days a week of, having, 2 days a week where I just drilled. And, that did help. That did start making me feel better. But, as time went on, I realized I need a little bit more rest. I was, and I have started performing better now the less I'm rolling. I feel better too. And those, that's been a big key.
It looks like you've made some changes purposely to your schedule. I like how I'm talking to you like you're I mentioned before, you're the resident old guy. But, making those changes, I can't do 7 days of jiu-jitsu training, not the way I do. If that was my goal, it would be several of the days are technique-based and light rolls or rolls with lower belts where I'm not letting them smash me, and I'm not really being super. A lot of times when I roll with lower belts, I kind of just let them work a little bit. That can take a toll on your body as well. So getting mount and maintaining, go side control, go like winning with a lower belt really is pretty safe for me to do. I'm not gonna. I know if I go back and play that sort of jiu-jitsu with lower belts with my rib will be fine. It's when I get the more competitive people on the mat with me that put some pressure on me, I'm in trouble just because my rib is a little sore. So just kind of structuring different days differently, and it may be not a super rigid structure. It might be, well, today I feel kind of sore. I need to take it easier today. I need to mostly work on technique, or light rolls, or maybe you call them successful rolls with lower belts that you don't really get into a lot of trouble with. So there's different options for you. But I know I can't train. When I go train jiu-jitsu now, I train pretty hard because I'm only getting 3 to 4. 5 would be an excellent week. But that's what I get.
Dang, you're training more than me.
I don't think I'm going to.
I need to up my training now.
I don't know if I had 5 in a while, but 3 is probably my minimum-ish, and 4 I'm pretty happy with. But any more than that, I probably have to look at kind of changing my aggressiveness while I'm on the mat and who I'm training with, and trying to preserve my body for the upcoming months of this sort of a heightened regimen. And that's another thing, the difference with the age categories when you compete. You got to think that the the more silver divisions aren't training like professional athletes, like the 20-year-olds that are training. They get up early in the morning, they do 4 miles in a few minutes, and then they do the weight training, afternoon jiu-jitsu, back to some swimming, back to jiu-jitsu in the evening. Some of these people are doing that to compete in jiu-jitsu.
Byron,
yeah.
but the younger 20-year-old isn't doing 4 miles during the night like us older guys are. I mean, we're going to the bathroom 15 or 16 times in a given night. And, you total that up if you wear, one of those watches that track your steps. I mean, we're putting in some serious miles. So we do get the benefit of that.
Oh, man. I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to get up and go in the middle of the night. I'm still that's how, age is just a number, but at certain times in your life, you have to do certain things differently. I'm glad I don't have that one yet, Gary.
But, jiu-jitsu, we have a mindset. Anybody who can stick with jiu-jitsu is a tough individual who wants to better themselves. And we're always trying to one-up each other. We're always trying to get better. And a lot of times we're equivalating. Well, that's no word, but we're going to say it's a word. We're trying to get better by outworking, doing more. More is better. And it's funny because I talk about how as I've got older, I've had to lose my ego a little bit and change stuff around. And a lot of it was just in my head. But Byron, when you said you were rolling 5 days a week, it made me right off the bat, my first thing was, darn, I need to up my training to catch Byron. That's how we work. That's, jiu-jitsu, we're goal-oriented, tough individuals who want to be the best we can. And that was the first thing that came to my head. It's like, oh, darn, I need to put some more time in because Byron's outworking me. But, it's crazy that I think that. That was the first thought that popped into my head. But, then as I sit back and realize, okay, I've tried that. It's not working for me. And so it really is a mind game as you start getting older, especially if you started training younger. Maybe if I started training at 45 and I never went through the younger competitive age, still I didn't even start till 35, but, maybe it would have been different that way. But I've always, tried to outwork everybody. And, that's one thing I've had to realize, that outworking as I get older, trying to outwork a 22-year-old is not probably to my best interest.
Gary, you've mentioned that you're a better grappler this year than you were last year, or you kind of did on a 10-year scale, but I feel the same way. I feel that the grappler I am right now would just mop the floor with the grappler I was 2 years ago. The younger, maybe stronger, but definitely, go back 5 more years, 10 more years, I'm going to destroy. That guy is not good at jiu-jitsu compared to what I'm going to bring at this from the current Byron. But I also say this, and I realize that there'll be a time when that's not the case. So there's yeah.
I still don't know. I'm telling you, man, I'm getting better every year. I think it's going to happen. Maybe I don't think it's going to happen between 50 and 60. I still think my 60-year-old will beat up my 50-year-old. I think, and that's what I'm hoping. I know I'm going to get to that point where there is going to be the diminishing returns, but I just keep getting better right now. And not to say I'm any good or anything, but I do get better now. And I don't know. I guess we'll talk about that when it starts happening. But I really thought when I first started, if I stuck it out to 50, that I'd be crappy at 50. I really thought I'd go downhill. I guess I just grew up thinking that people who are 50 years old are terrible at everything. They're over the hill, they're this and that. And man, I look at people now, differently. It's, I remember when I first started, or even before I started, when I was in the gym lifting weights and thinking I was a tough guy because I could bench press a lot, be like, oh yeah, there's no 50-year-old that could hang with me. There's millions of them now that I've learned. And, jiu-jitsu is, something that's like I like to call the great equalizer.
Not the gun, right, Gary?
No, but it equal, you take a 50-year-old who knows jiu-jitsu against a 22-year-old who's, out of school and very athletic and very strong. And I'm taking that 50-year-old jiu-jitsu guy any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do call it the great equalizer. It evens the playing cards and tilts them in the jiu-jitsu guy's favor.
You can put this on a graph, I think, Gary. There's one line that's your age that's going. As time goes, it's going up the same rate constantly. And the other line on this graph is your proficiency at jiu-jitsu, whether it's skill, whether it's ability to roll or techniques. Somewhere, let's just say rolling, because that's probably easier to see. So that line is also going up. Your ability to roll is getting better. As you get older, you're still getting doing better at rolling. But eventually, if that line dips down below the age one to where you're aging more than your progress in jiu-jitsu is, and eventually it'll be to where the 64-year-old grappler will be getting beat by the 60-year-old grappler that is you.
Yes.
So, but the big thing is, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Still go in. There's so many good things. You're still getting exercise. You're still having fun with your friends. You're still learning new techniques. You're still exploring the depth of old techniques. There's so much more than just, if you're 65 and the biggest thing you're getting out of it is how good of a fighter you are, you need to look a little more deeply into jiu-jitsu because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of benefits. Lower blood pressure, all the benefits of exercise wrapped up into this. I'm sure it's stimulating to the mind because we're not just putting on headphones and running for an hour. You are talking to people. You're trying to figure out problems. There's a lot going on in jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of benefits other than fighting or rolling or self-defense that you're continuing to get. So even if you're at that point, and it may feel like you're at that point and you may not be, so it's hard to judge this, but even if you are at the point where your jiu-jitsu is dropping off, you are less effective than you were last year, doesn't matter. No one's going to take your belt away. Even if they did, no one will, but it doesn't matter. Still go in, have fun, still train hard as you can, or as hard as it's fun and rewarding to do, and ultimately you'll be somebody who is enjoying their life through a activity that they like, possibly love. I don't, but really, it doesn't matter. It's you're comparing yourself with yourself, and that's a nice comparison compared to other people. But eventually, your old self is going to get older, and your young self will have performed better. And that's one thing I've noticed with, let's just say, athletes of like speed sport, like a runner, a bike, somebody who races bikes. Eventually that time will start to drop. They can't compete with the runner they were in their 20s, can't compete with the runner that they were in their 20s. Is going to be faster than them as a 40-year-old runner. If they can't handle that mentally, that 40-year-old runner is going to quit. And so be prepared for that time to come and just keep training. It doesn't matter.
That's actually how I got into jiu-jitsu. I as you guys all know that I talk a lot about, all I used to do is play basketball. I played basketball every day of my life. No ifs, ands, or buts. I was playing 3 hours a day. And I got to the point I probably played, every day up until I was 29 years old. And then all of a sudden, work got involved and different things got involved. And I wasn't playing very often. I'd play every, maybe twice a month. And after a couple of years, I just stopped playing. My skill level went down so much. I was used to playing at a certain level, and it was messing with my head that I couldn't compete at that level. And you know what the shame of it was? I stopped having fun. I wasn't playing basketball with a smile on my face like I'm talking about jiu-jitsu. I was down on myself because I couldn't play at the same level. I was used to playing at this level, and I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I could if I had put the time into it, but I couldn't translate it over to have fun. And the other part is I moved, so I didn't have my group of guys that I played with all the time, which is, kind of like what we talked about, the great diverse group of your teammates. And I quit. I quit the sport. And it actually worked out for me because I took up jiu-jitsu. I probably would have never, if I was spending all my time with basketball, I would have never translated over to jiu-jitsu. And Byron also knows here just recently I've started playing basketball again after over a 20-year break. And, now when I'm playing basketball with a smile on my face. There's no pressure. everybody thinks they're thinking that I'm going to be terrible, because I'm a grappler, and they're pleasantly surprised. But I just have fun out there now. It's I now play basketball with a smile on my face, and that was a mistake I made when I was younger. But as we talked about earlier, as I got older, I got a little bit smarter. I took a little bit of pressure off myself and realized that I'm playing a sport, and sports are supposed to be fun. I'm not a professional athlete. I want to have fun, and that's what changed it all for me. And jiu-jitsu is, jiu-jitsu is a godsend for me. I'm just glad that I train it.
That's why I feel the same way. That's why we're here trying to spread jiu-jitsu via a podcast.
Via a podcast. Yep. Well, that was a good talk there, Byron. I had a good time.
Yeah, this is the last episode of the month. We do a topic like this. This one was recommended several weeks ago, if not a month or two ago, and I don't remember who did that. Thank you for the recommendation. If you have a topic you want us to cover in depth, send it to us via the social media outlets that we have. Facebook's probably the easiest one. Just send us a whole message on there. You could email us, bjjbrick@gmail.com. Also, a social media outlet, less contact on there, but you could check out our YouTube channel. I've got many reviews on there of DVDs and products that are out, and a BJJ Brick Q&A sessions that I think are just past the 12 or 13 mark as far as questions that have been answered. So, a lot of stuff going on, and you can also find a log of any of the podcasts on there as well, kind of just keeping up there for storage. So, a lot going on, my friend.
You got that right. Byron, I think we should talk about our training partners.
Okay. In a positive light. No, what you're alluding to there is our article of the week. Yay! Invertedgear.com. And this was written by a past podcast guest, Marshall Carper. Training partners. The article is titled Training Partners Trump All, and there will be a link to this article in the show notes, which will also be in your email inbox if you're subscribed to the email list.
Yeah, like Byron said, we've had martial arm before, but the crazy thing about it is jiu-jitsu, everybody thinks of it as an individual sport. We're going mano a mano against one person, trying to choke each other out, trying to twist an arm beyond its normal range, trying to score more points than the other person to win that little match. But I can't get to that point. Byron can't get to that point. Any of you listening can't get to that point without a great group of training partners. We have to have, a good supportive team. You have to have teammates that really want you to become better. We talked about the Aging Grappler. You have to have teammates that are going to be take care of the Aging Grappler. Realize that that's an important part of your team. You're going to learn stuff from that person. When you've got an injured partner, you have to have teammates that will train with you. I mean, sometimes you can get on the mat when you're injured, but you may need teammates not to twist your leg. And I can think of one of your training partners, Byron, Matt Lowe. I was training with Matt the other day, and Matt really likes to grab the legs and twist them. I have a bad hamstring. Matt is just a great guy to roll with, and he one time, I told him beforehand that my hamstrings bothered me. One time he started getting my leg, and he's looking to start applying leg locks, and after he grabbed the heel, he realized real quick that I was hurt and just transitioned to something else. And when you have good training partners like that, it means the world. It's going to make me better. It's going to keep me healthy, and healthy is the way to get better.
That's right. The training partners trump all. So I don't know what the ratio is for me or anybody else, but there's a certain percentage of jiu-jitsu you've learned directly from your coach, your professor, your main instructor, and there's a certain percentage of jiu-jitsu that you actually just learn from your training partners, whether it be while you're rolling or questions you ask them, or the coach shows the technique, you pair off, and they're showing you little details or helping you figure out how the little parts of the technique actually work. You'll learn a lot from your training partners, and without that group of people, it's hard to go back to jiu-jitsu. if everybody was grumpy and had bad attitudes, it would be a whole
They would be like
game.
me.
It'd be a different game. Show up to class every day.
wouldn't
Nobody
even
wants to
come.
be in that environment. Yeah. It's the same thing with work. If your work environment is enjoyable, people are pleasant to be around, it's a lot easier to go to work than it is with a bunch of grumpy people who don't want to be there. So be the good training partner, be that positive person, and help create more people like that. And just by being that example, I think it's a great way to do that. Marshall mentions in here about having a diverse mix of training partners is ideal. If everybody in your team is super strong or super flexible or slow, or they all play the same type of passing style, this is fine to roll with. But when you try to step outside the gym or to expand jiu-jitsu a little bit, you're going to come into some hurdles that you didn't even see coming. So having a group of training partners, some that are better at other things than you, and some may have weak areas that you can help them work on, it's good to have that diverse group. You build off each other.
Yep. He also talks about training should be give and take. And he's talking about you're going to get burnout if you're just doing all the teaching. Kind of like what you were just talking about earlier, Byron. You need to learn from others also. So just because a person's not your instructor doesn't mean you're not going to learn from that. Training partners should be contributing to your training as well. And that could be the more experienced students giving you feedback, or, just anybody making yourself available to roll or come in and work at off hour time. So definitely make sure there's give and take in your training.
Going down the list here, character counts. And this is a big one, not just about, being loyal to your instructor, your team, but just being a good person on the team. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here, Gary. I don't think I've told you this. Maybe I've seen you since this happened, but a little while ago, I was trying a new guard pass, and you know how that goes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And gi training, and training with a gentleman named Cody Carrillo, a professional MMA guy, who, to his credit, is a heck of a gi guy, and he does like his gi choke. So you've got an MMA guy who really, he's pulling guard. He's wrestled at a very elite level. I think he wrestled in college, and he did very well in the high school career. But he's pulling guard. He's playing with the collar. He's having fun. And so I'm trying to pass his guard. He wraps up my collar. I'm in on this guard pass. I think I'm going to be fine. I'm getting a little bit dizzy. And the next thing I know, I say to Cody, I said, "Man, I am really dizzy." What I didn't realize happened was I actually just went out and I woke back up. And like this is my third or fourth time to be choked unconscious. This time I didn't even realize it. And he goes, "Yeah." And I stand up and I'm holding his gi pants, trying to maintain balance because, man, the world is spinning. And I'm just standing in front of him, just doing nothing. And there's something in my head that goes, "Just move a little bit." So I start just moving my arms and trying to shake his legs and do something. And he's just hanging out. And I don't know really what this looked like, but I'm sure he could have swept me easily. He could have done whatever. But he was like, "Dude, this guy just went asleep and he's letting me recover." And I didn't even realize it. Well, to Cody's,
character counts.
Yeah, but to Cody's credit, he didn't go around bragging to everybody that he has a purple belt, just put a black belt to sleep. He didn't tell.
He told me.
You got the big message? No, but he didn't. He didn't even tell me. It's like, I'm sure Cody's had me out before, but like, if that was the first time, he didn't even tell me. Like I didn't even know. It wasn't until I think it was the next week. I go, "Dude, did I go out while we were rolling?" Because I kept replaying in my head, like, what happened? Why was I that dizzy from the choke? I thought I got out of it, but it turns out he let go. He said, "Yeah, you went out, you laid there for like 3 seconds, and you popped back up." Like, oh,
that's awesome. What a great training part.
Yeah, it's kind of weird on my. I don't intend on going to sleep. I just didn't see it coming that fast. I guess I don't know what happened. I'm losing it, Gary. But just the idea that he basically tapped me out. I mean, he choked me unconscious, and he didn't make a big deal of it. He didn't, go around telling everybody that he put me to sleep. He didn't even tell anybody, as far as I know, especially while I'm laying there asleep, trying to figure, But it happened. He's cool with it. I don't know where I'm going, but it's just having that. He was a training partner who didn't make me feel like crap for getting tapped out or getting choked unconscious. by a lower belt, although he's a very good lower belt. But so if you do tap out an upper belt, don't make a big deal out of it. Have that character, and I still like training with Cody anytime I can. He's a fun person to roll with. But the character that Cody expressed that day, top notch. He put me to sleep, didn't make a big deal of it. He even let me wake up and think I didn't even get put to sleep. And I think I'm dragging this on a little bit, but character counts, Gary.
Yep, definitely character counts. And Marshall's got a couple other points on there, and we'll put a link to this on show notes, so definitely check it out. But, to sum this all up, basically, I like what Marshall says. You can't escape the fact that your immediate training partners have the greatest and most profound impact on your training. So, you do need to make sure you got a great team to train with. And you also have to think about you as a training partner. You need to make sure that you're one of those great training partners, like Cody that Byron was just talking about. And basically, you're going to make the whole team better. That's what the whole goal is, to have a team that everybody progresses, everybody's smiling, and everybody cares about each other. Just one big team.
One big team, Gary. Good news, my friend.
What do we got?
You don't have to do a Matt. We don't have a Matt Tales, but you don't have to do a audiobook either, because I got something else going on.
Okay, what do we got going on, Byron?
Gary, I have been playing a prank on you for 5 episodes straight. So sit back and relax. Here we go. Gary, I have a confession to make, my friend. I have been playing a joke on you that spans 5 episodes. Here's the thing, Gary. We all have those jokes that we reuse, that if given the opportunity, we jump on them and tell them every time. And I found one of those jokes that you have, and I've been setting you up with the easy punchline over and over again. Let's rewind things back to episode 175. Because, Gary, you've got my back, and you've always got my back, literally.
2.5 hours of content, only $11.99, getting great reviews, and I'll definitely help you out. So check it out.
Yeah, thank you for the correction, Gary. You always get my back.
I got your back, literally.
So after 175, brings us to episode 176. And, man, it's familiar music. It's at the end of the show. Gary, it is time.
Wait. Did we switch the article?
Yes,
to the end of the show? Oh.
Oh, man. And I know, Gary, you've got my back. You're going to help me out with this article this week.
Well, I got your back, literally.
Indeed, you do. And, of course, I appreciate your help with the article. And I do know that you have my back with the article and both literally, just like the week before. Taking us to the next week, episode 177, where I got you again, my friend. The very nice backlog of interviews that we have already recorded. We got Matt Jubera, Pedro Sauer coming up, already in the can, already recorded, and just waiting for the next couple of Mondays to happen. So definitely excited about the upcoming shows.
Oh, okay. I thought you were having a little bit of gastrointestinal issues, so I guess we're good then, sir.
Yeah, good looking out for me, Gary. I know you always got my back.
I always got your back, literally. That's what we do in grappling, Byron.
What do you mean by that?
We want to get each other's back. It's a great finishing position.
So something with these that I try to extract a little bit more from the joke. What do you mean by taking my back literally? And I really can't get any deeper into this joke. So it pretty much dies right there. But I tried it, and I'll try it again. Let's forward another week to episode 178, where I get you yet again, my friend. Yep, during your first year of Jiu-Jitsu, we got your back.
Literally.
That's what Jiu-Jitsu is all about, isn't it, Gary?
That is, yep. We don't actually show back takes but we could if we needed to.
By this time, the joke has been boiled down to just one word. You just said the word literally, but it still made the podcast. That was episode 178. Now, episode 179. This is the 5th one in a row. So here we go. Episode 179. Yeah, Gary, you took it to the next level. I kind of was looking at it the short-sighted way. I know you've got my back, my friend.
Oh, literally. Yep, I'm always trying to get your back.
And I definitely appreciate that. There it is, Gary. Gotcha. 5 episodes in a row. You told some aspect of this joke of taking my back literally. 5 episodes in a row, back to back, my friend. You've got my back, and these episodes are back to back.
Oh, I got your back. Literally, Byron. You know, the best part about all this, first of all, it was funny as could be, and I'm dying laughing. And I remember how you set me up the very last one, because I remember sitting there thinking, dang, haven't we done this a couple times? But I didn't realize we've done it 5 times. That, you know, and then I had no clue this was coming. Then when you started talking about it, I just started laughing. I was like, oh, man, he got me. But that is awesome, Byron. That is top notch. I'm impressed.
Top notch. Gary is quite the prankster. I get more pranking freedom on here because I do the editing. But if he pulled one off on me, I'd leave it in. But Gary's quite the prankster, you know, off the podcast. And I guess you could appreciate a good one when it happens to you.
It was great.
So,
that was awesome. I enjoyed it.
I figured this would be the last episode that you'd be willing to be jumped on here with me. So, but it sounds like you're still happy with the show.
Oh, I'm definitely happy with the show. Literally.
Literally. Oh. Yep, just like you're taking it back. So, yeah, I threw that match in a few times in a row.
Literally.
It's funny that you were starting to catch on. Oh, I was starting to feel like an ass.
But I wasn't really catching on. I just like, man, that was a little awkward. You know, like, how did that come out? Like, I remember the very last one, but man, that was awesome. You know, it's just like jiu-jitsu. You know, jiu-jitsu, we lead you down a certain path to fall into our trap. Byron led me down a certain path. 5 straight weeks I fell into the same thing. So, you know, kudos to you, buddy.
Well, Gary, it's not over yet, man. So, yeah. This episode itself
had one, right?
No, we didn't have one in this. I figured I already had the little piece edited and put aside so I could play it for you. I would leave it alone on that one. But I figured I'd have some fun, and I would insert song titles into the conversation. And I don't know if you've caught any. A couple of them, I think, you might have noticed that was like a weird thing to say, but you didn't comment about a song about it. Any idea of any song titles that I threw at you today, Gary?
Today?
Yeah, today. This episode recording right now.
I don't.
This one you'll recall, Time in a Bottle. Do you remember me saying that?
No, I don't remember saying that.
Business Time is the name of a song.
I've never heard of that song.
That was
like normal songs. Business song?
Business Time.
Business Time? Never heard of that.
Time After Time.
What the heck is that?
That's a Cyndi Lauper, I believe. Time After.
I'll listen to Cyndi Lauper.
I was Googling songs with the word time in them. It Feels Like the First Time.
Yep,
I said that today.
Yeah.
Time Has Come Today.
Well, that's a good one.
Times Like These. Time of Your Life. And Every Time You Go Away. Gary, every time you go away, you seem to come back a little stronger. So, I got some song titles in there. And
man, time flies.
Yes, well done on that one. And I thought I would sneak them in and see if I can get away with it. Yeah, I'll be shut down within a week, and they'll be looking for bodies in the behind the gym.
Definitely,
Gary. If you could put time in a bottle and really just preserve the Gary at a certain age, you mentioned.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do.
Good times, man. You got to enjoy everything that comes your way.
Definitely, that is true.
Well, Gary, it is business time. And you know
business time?
Yes, that's right. I'm in my business socks, and it's time to get down to business. The main topic of the episode, getting older and doing BJJ.
Conditions are perfect for making love. You turn to me and say something sexy like, I might go to bed after work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, baby. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business.
What's going to allow us to train a long time? And so I'm excited.
Yep, time after time, I kind of tease Gary about his age. I'm 37 myself, so I'm no spring chicken.
The more we're exposed to, the more knowledge we're going to have.
Gary, looking back, I remember what it feels like for the very first time, getting on the mat, grappling with somebody, and just, getting, tossed on my head, bouncing right back up, and like, I feel good. That doesn't bother me at all. 22 years old. It didn't.
Hey, what were we talking about, Byron?
We're talking about memory loss with aging, and time has come today to discuss this topic, Gary. So, what do you think about memory loss with your grappling?
We can make it so we can get back on the mat. We're going to make sure that we're performing at our best.
And Gary, every time you go away from an injury, you seem to come back a little bit more healed up in general. So,
Byron, I really think I'm at my best right now and I'm at my happiest.
Gary, it seems like you are having the time of your life out there sometimes, and that's something to really be to look up to.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
And
so
maybe they were
what
too
else have you
obscure.
got me with?
That's it, man.
I figured you were going to pour some sugar on me.
We'll do that when you're actually in person, Gary. I don't want to do that over Skype.
Okay.
It's a waste of sugar. So anyway,
Man, so hey, if anybody needs a punching bag, I am available.
Available that over Skype even.
Yes. Yep.
Well, if you've had a good time with the show today, maybe you learned something. Maybe you just laughed a little bit. But tell a friend about it. It means a lot to us when people spread the word. Got a message from our friend Denise. She just shared this with another one of her friends and is continuing to grow the podcast one person at a time. It's great to get on here. We get on Facebook and we will post the show on there. And really, it's amazing that people will like the show. If I post a show at 10 in the morning, people have liked it by 10:20, and they're liking it before they've even had a chance to listen to the whole thing. And that just shows that they're that much of a fan to where they don't have to make sure that it's a good episode, that they trust us that we're putting out this thing that they're going to like, and they just hit the like button to show us a little, hey, good job, thumbs up, guys. But also that the recommendation to friends that you train with is also a big way that we have grown the podcast, and we really appreciate it, guys.
Yes, we definitely do. Hey, we also appreciate our Patreon supporters. We have a link on the show notes to Patreon, which is a content website is a website for content producers. I'm sorry, as I get older, I lose my train of thought sometimes. But you can pledge if you have financial means. You can pledge as little as 50 cents per show. It basically helps keep this show, as Byron says, keep this brick afloat time after time, so we can have it each and every week. So definitely we appreciate everybody who supports us through Patreon there too, and we appreciate anybody who we've rolled with. We've had some listeners come through Wichita, Kansas, and the middle of the United States. If you ever do get through us, send us a line, bjjbrick@gmail.com. Hit us up on the Facebook page. Let us know you'll be in town, and we'll try to find a time to roll. So we've had a handful of people come through and roll, and we always appreciate it. Also, make sure you tune in next week. We have a great show. We're going to have the one and only Kim Pressers on the show.
There we go. Good times week after week, my friends. BJ Brick Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to take Byron's back, literally.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, that was awesome, though. That was cool.
Well, good times, man.
I like that. I was laughing so hard. Man, it's just like jiu-jitsu. You just led me down the path. You just threw it out there, and I.
Well, you've made that. You've made that joke many times, but I kept thinking, like, he keeps telling the same crappy joke. I wonder if I could do it over and over again.
You should have kept it going longer.
Oh, we'll see.
You would get it every. Yeah, I'll never do it.
Literally every week.
Oh, that's terrible. That was funny.
All right, man. We'll catch you later on, man.
Yep, later, dude.
All right, bye.
Yep, bye.